Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be born with everything to your advantage, while others fight their entire lives to balance their bills? Why do certain families accumulate wealth for generations, and others, even working without stopping, can barely pay the month's expenses? Let me share a personal story that can help you understand this mystery. I grew up in a home where money was a cause for constant concern. My father repeated a phrase I heard since I was a child: money is like water. If you don't hold firmly, it drips by your fingers. My grandmother, a wise woman, added, no matter how much you earn, but how much you can keep and grow. At the time, these words made no sense to me. The money seemed magical, unattainable. Over time, however, I realized that those simple phrases carried an ancient financial wisdom, capable of turning lives. Here is what I observed. Most people spend their lives running after money, without realizing that true freedom comes to those who understand the laws governing finances, not for those who earn more, but for those who know how to manage what they already have. Make a reflection. Where are you today? Still depends exclusively on salary and circumstances. Or do you dream of the day you can say, am I free? I control my time, my money, and my life. In this content, I will reveal what changed my trajectory. I will talk about principles transmitted for generations, about small, powerful habits that build financial independence, and, more importantly, I will show two traps that can destroy your finances even before you realize. These mistakes are common among those who try to enrich without knowing ancient wisdom. Imagine the following situation. You work without stopping, strive to the best, but the money seems to disappear like sand in your hand. Try to save, plan the future, but the result is always the same: anxiety and frustration. I went through it. It was a painful lesson that cost me years of life. But there is another way, a proven method over the centuries, tested for thousands who have gained real financial freedom. And it starts when we understand that money is a tool, not a goal. The money alone does not bring happiness, but knowing how to manage it brings freedom. I ask you to follow until the end, because in the next few minutes you will discover simple but transformative principles of financial education. You will hear real reports, my mistakes, my victories, and the lessons I learned from ancestral traditions in your own experience. You will see how small mentality changes and habits can revolutionize your financial reality. If you are willing to act, this may be the beginning of the journey towards the independence you always wanted. But it was impossible. If you have already wondered why the rich get richer while you strive and change nothing, continue here. I promise that in the end you will see money in your life in a totally new way. And no, the secrets that I will share are not just theoretical. They were tested for time, for generations, and, above all, by my own history. I will show you how to turn a modest income into a freedom instrument, how to avoid the arrests that hold the majority, and finally how to have security for tomorrow. Take a deep breath. Get ready to absorb knowledge and discover financial wisdom transmitted for centuries. Your way to freedom begins now. Now that you understand that financial independence is not a distant dream, but an achievable goal, let's talk about how to get there. It is not a magic or miraculous formulas to get rich overnight. It is much simpler than it seems, but it requires discipline, patience, and wisdom. The first step is to organize your finances. It may seem obvious, but most people don't know where their money goes. My father always said, if you don't control every penny, you'll never know if it's you who dominate the money or he who dominates you. I started to write down all revenues and expenses still in the 20 years. At first they were notebooks, then spreadsheets. It recorded everything from salary to change of coffee. And do you know what happened? I came to see patterns. I identified unnecessary expenses, realized where money escaped and where I could invest intelligently. An example of my life. In a month, I noticed that I spent almost salary room with restaurants and impulsive purchases. I had no idea of this until you see the numbers in front. From there, I changed my habits. I started cooking at home, planning spending better, and directing what was left for courses and investments. It was a small adjustment, but it is these steps that build the basis of financial independence. The second principle is to invest in yourself, in knowledge, skills, and experience. This is worth more than any risky financial investment. I started with a small store, selling everything from clothes to appliances. I thought the important thing was to earn as much as possible. Over time, however, I understood that true value is in the knowledge and skills that guarantee income in any situation, even when the market changes. A concrete case, I intended part of my earnings for financial planning and entrepreneurship courses. In the beginning, it seemed a waste, but in 2 years, that knowledge allowed me to start a new business and multiply my income. And the best, I got confidence. I stopped fear of crises. because I started to understand how money works. The third pillar is the immediate action. I have seen many people lose years ahead of decisions. When you get an increase, when you put a little money, when the situation gets better, this one never arrives. In my career, the chance to invest a modest amount in a friend's project, I hesitated. I thought, and if you lose everything, but I decided to risk it. That step changed my life. The investment has multiplied and boosted my growth. The lesson is clear. A small movement at the right time is more than waiting for the perfect conditions. The fourth principle may sound contradictory. Generosity as part of financial wisdom. It seems strange that donating money can lead to independence, but it is a proven truth throughout history. The healthy relationship with money includes knowing how to share. It is not about spending without discretion, but understanding that abundance is attractive when circulating with purpose. Those who learn to manage with balance, keeping, investing, and also helping builds a solid foundation to thrive. In our culture, it has always been said, the money you give generously returns to you multiplied. I saw this happen in my own life. Even when he had little, he made a point of helping people, family, friends, and charities. And do you know what happened? New opportunities, connections, and ideas began to emerge. The money not only came back, it arrived with bonuses, experiences, knowledge, and valuable relationships. Financial freedom is not just about accumulating, but about how you use the resources you have. And here comes one of the most transformative pillars, the creation of passive income. Exclusive salary dependence is a way for financial slavery. I started slowly. I invested in stocks, real estate, and small businesses. At first, the returns were symbolic, but over time they became a stable flow of money regardless of whether I was working or not. It is important to understand passive income is not synonymous with laziness, but strategy. That sooner you start, the lower the amounts you need to get significant results. I know people who left it late and frustrated, thinking that financial independence was unreachable. But when you act systematically and consistently, the result is inevitable. Now let's talk about money psychology. Money is a reflection of your mindset. If you live for fear of losing you, envying others, or depending on the next salary, no investment will be enough. I myself went through this phase for years. The fear of scarcity pursued me until I rebuilt my way of thinking. Today, I see money as a tool, not as an end. This allows me to make rational decisions without getting carried away by emotions. And finally, don't be afraid to learn from mistakes. I lost a lot of money by testing new ideas and investments, but each failure was a lesson that no course could teach me. The secret is to analyze, extract learning, and move on. Errors are not failures, they are steps on the staircase of financial maturity. In short, this part, financial independence is supported by four foundations: organization, investment in itself, immediate action, and intelligent generosity. But this adds to the passive income strategy and a healthy relationship with money. If you follow these principles, even in small steps over time, your life will become. Financial freedom is not a distant dream. It is the result of consistent actions and a proven wisdom for generations. And most importantly, all I shared here is not theory, but experience by me and by people I know. Now is your turn to apply this knowledge, step by step, day after day, until you gain the freedom you deserve. We arrived at the most crucial moment, the conclusion. If you have followed here, you've received the first boost for change. But my goal is not just that you hear these words, but that it takes you with you and puts it into practice. Financial independence is not an abstraction. It is the concrete result of actions, habits, and a conscience about money. Let's recap the essential principles, those who should be recorded in your mind. 1. Order in finance. Write down, plan, control. Do not let the money control you, be that you manage it. Small changes, such as registering spending or making a budget, have a huge impact. I started with a simple notebook, but month after month, my financial view became clear. 2. Invest in yourself. Your knowledge, skills, and experiences are a capital that no one can take from you. The more you invest in you today, the greater your return tomorrow. I remember when I spent small amounts on courses and books, it seemed a necessary expenditure. But years later, it was this knowledge that allowed me to open my own business, increase my income, and gain confidence. 3. Act without procrastinating. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because it does not exist. Start with what you have, even if the amount is small or the idea seems risky. A small step today is always better than postponing for tomorrow. My history of investment in a friend's business is a living example of how a time action in the right time can change everything. 4. Generosity and wise use of resources. Purpose donated money returns not only financially, but in the form of experiences, contacts, and opportunities. I saw, in practice, How even a small help generated unexpected connections that later became new sources of income. 5. Build passive income. Living only salary limits your freedom. Passive income is the key to freeing itself from dependence on circumstances, and you can start with little. Even modest investments over time generate a stable flow of resources. 6. Mentality and psychology. Money mirrors its way of thinking. Fear, envy, or anxiety hinder intelligent decisions. When you face money as a tool, not as a goal, it acts with rationality and calm, taking more assertive choices. 7. Learn from errors. No theme fails. Each error is a lesson you would not find in any book. I lost money in unsuccessful attempts, but it was these experiences that strengthened me and made me wiser. When I look back, I realize that financial independence is not quick gains, but discipline, patience, wisdom, and conscience. It is built step by step, day after day, with every decision you make today. And here is another story to reflect. At one point, I saw myself in front of a crossroads. On the one hand, a stable job that gave me money, but not freedom. On the other, the idea of a new project, which seemed risky. I stopped, remembered my family's teachings, and decided to risk. This choice has changed everything. I opened a new source of income, gained experience, and understood that fear about money was just a mental barrier. Keep this lesson. Don't let fear control your finances or your life. Financial freedom is not about luxury. It is about choice, to choose what to do, where to live, where to invest your time and energy. It is about the security of living as you want, not as circumstances impose. My mission here is not just sharing information, but motivating you to act. Because even the most valuable wisdom has no value if it is not applied. Start today with a small step, record your spending, invest in knowledge, give the first step towards passive income. Each action, however small, brings it closer to freedom. And know that life is short, often more to postpone your dreams. Money is a tool, not an end. Use it wisely, act with determination, learn from experience, help others, and invest in yourself. This is the true essence of financial wisdom, tested and approved over the centuries. To receive guidelines that actually work in practice, those that have been tested in real life, inspiring stories, and applicable strategies follow this content. Here, we unveil concrete steps, analyze real cases, and share examples that go beyond simply making money. The goal is to build genuine financial independence. Remember, the way to freedom begins with a decision to start today, right now. May your actions be consistent, your clear thoughts, and every step closer to the life you idealize. I'm sure each of you has the potential to transform your financial reality. The secret is to take control, act with purpose, and learn from each experience. As soon as you take the first step, nothing will be like before. Stay connected, enable notifications, and together we will explore the principles of financial independence that few openly reveal. After all, life is short to live at the mercy of the circumstances or choices of others. Financial freedom is not a distant destination, it is a journey that begins here and now. Take the first step, and the world around you will begin to transform.